Welcome to Skye's Sweaty Record Review, episode 51. It's the only new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after getting off of the elliptical at the YMCA. Now, it's early January, Happy New Year, and it turns out, I didn't know this, but basically nobody releases new music at the end of one year and the beginning of the next. There's nothing. So I'm going to my back catalog. I just talked about Kanye for like 4.5 hours. I reviewed something off Bandcamp for the first time. I did my end of year review. I'm kind of like catching up on a bunch of not new ideas. So to that point, you know how like on YouTube shows, like whenever, I don't know, I watched something once that said how to build a YouTube following. They say consistent content, which is what I do. That's why I put out so many shows. And then a lot of interaction with the audience. So they do this thing on a lot of these shows where if there's a request, they'll put up on the screen like a picture of the request, like chunk, 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 chunk. Well, I don't have that many viewers, so I've got one real request that's outstanding. That's from Shunk. Could you please review 1,000 Faces of Fear, Forms of Fear by Sia, and All My Demons Are Greeting Me as a Friend by Aurora? So why not do it? The idea was to have this be a 50 subscriber special. I never thought I'd get to 15 subscribers, so why not? Why not take these two albums and look at them? Now, I'm going to take it a little bit differently. It's not going to be a straight review. The Sia albums from 2015, the Aurora albums from 2016, they're still vital artists who are working now, but it's not exactly a new music review. But I'm going to get to sort of a larger point, which will explain the presence of Aquaman here. I'll get to that at the end. First, just a brief overview of my take. I didn't know anything about Sia. I remembered the song Chandelier coming out. In my head, I got it mixed up with Wrecking Ball by, what's her name? The Hannah Montana one. The pop singer. I'm not trying to be flippant. I actually forget her name. How am I forgetting her name? Anyways, I got it mixed up with the song Wrecking Ball because they both seem to be like these sad songs about like partying and not being able to control yourself. This is going to bug me the whole show. If you know the name of the artist who sang Wrecking Ball, please put it in the comments. Just save me because I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to rely on you viewers. Ooh, shaking the table. So I mixed them all kind of together, and I didn't recognize that the Wrecking Ball song is probably just 100% factory pop. I mean, it's a fine song. Miley Cyrus, I got it. Thank you. That's just like a factory song that's put out by some Swedish pop dude. And Sia, I didn't know anything about it. She was referenced by Chance the Rapper in a Kanye song. My daughter's like Sia, you can't see her. So I knew there was something about her like cloaking her face, but that was it. So I was very happy to visit this album and get to know what she was and what she was about. And then Aurora, I'd never heard of at all. Not even a little bit. I saw from her picture on Tidal that she is a similar blonde-haired woman with like a bob haircut. Further research, brief research, revealed that Aurora is half the age of Sia, which you couldn't really tell from their singing voices, at least, maybe from their thematics. And Aurora is Norwegian, and Sia is Australian. So that's all I really knew going into it. With both of them, it's weird because there's, like growing up, female vocalists, you had to really look to find sincere female vocalists in pop music. Depending on your opinion of Madonna, she was pretty much at the top. Again, I mean, Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, Madonna, it all felt very much impersonal. Like it was, and Paula Abdul, being pushed out by some machine. That it wasn't actually a woman's voice singing, it was a man's voice through a woman's face. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not being kind enough on Madonna or Whitney Houston. But at least that was the feeling that I got. And the amazing and the wonderful thing is that does not appear to be the case. It appears as though there are many women in pop music who are writing their own music or co-writing their own music, like any other pop artist, and presenting their actual viewpoint, taking what we call in academia literal agency over their own artistic vision. So that's birthed this whole group of musicians who I sadly don't know very well. I don't really understand Lana Del Rey. I don't really understand Sia. I don't really understand Lady Gaga. I don't know. So this is great. Join with me in understanding these singers. Sia, when I first listened, she's a little bit more stylized than I like. Like a lot of kind of like just like there's a register of her voice that feels inauthentic. That's the way I felt with Amy Winehouse as well. Just like, and even like Nina Simone, like that kind of like jazzy singing where you get into that weird sort of guttural like voice. That creates a distance for me from what's actually being sung. So Aurora, I didn't feel that. I felt that her singing was more direct, much more just natural. But after listening to them both, I ended up liking them basically equally. The production on all of it is very slick. I would say that if you like it a little bit less poppy, try Aurora. That's a little bit more electro. I'd say Sia is a little bit more poppy, definitely much more anthemic. Like you have a feeling like these songs are like anthems for life and for living. An interesting point about both is that at the end of each of their albums, they have like these unplugged sections. By that I mean Sia plays just with the piano and Aurora plays just with the guitar. And this is great because they can. It reminds you that, yeah, the songwriting's great and the production's great, but at the heart of it are these really strong voices, very dynamic, very strong voices. So I think those are a good entry point for you if you don't like modern production. If you just want to hear good singing and you just want to hear good songwriting, check out the acoustic versions. Now, I'm headed somewhere. There's a reason I have Aquaman here. You see, when I was in Switzerland, I was walking around with a couple of my colleagues in 17th century French literature, and a couple of them were women. And we walked by an Aquaman poster, and they got very excited. That's the only way to put it. They were just, oh, I'm so excited to see Aquaman. And I'm an Aquaman fan. I have legitimately like 100 comic books of Aquaman, and it's like, yeah. Cool. What do you like about Aquaman? Because like no one likes Aquaman, and they're like, well, not really Aquaman. I like the actor, And they all sort of giggled and laughed about how hot Jason Momoa is. And so that kind of got me thinking about like what is it about Jason Momoa that is so hot? Okay, I know the muscles and the bone structure and the eyes. I get that. That's not debatable. I understand. If he looked like DJ Qualls or Tobey Maguire, it wouldn't be the same thing. I know. But I started to think about like what does he actually represent? And I'm going somewhere. This is very tied in to Sia and Aurora. What is it that he represents? I think really what it is it goes back to Game of Thrones and his character Khal Drogo. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, first of all, congratulations. That's pretty impressive. Basically everyone has to now. But Khal Drogo is this character who's like the leader of these savages, like this savage group of just super strong horse riding like savages. And he ends up getting into like a forced marriage with Khaleesi, who's this, blonde-haired, powerful, but in the beginning of the show, kind of weak character. And there's this whole scene, like the opening love scene that they have is like it is always on Game of Thrones, like a borderline rape sequence. But as time goes on, we start to see that he actually cares for her. And he protects her, but not like in the way of like, I've got muscles, I'm going to protect you because you're weak. But they end up actually reaching some level of equality in the show. They end up being, for lack of a better word, partners. They're working together. And I think there's something about Jason Momoa, and yeah, I get it, the muscles, but about this character in which people can put onto him, because he doesn't speak, he doesn't say anything, he's just like this big dumb guy with good hair, and you're able to project onto him what it is that you want. And by the end of his run on the show, you ended up thinking he was a really good guy. He was really strong. He really cared for her. He really wanted her to be good. While at the same time, He's a complete and total animal and savage and lusty and all these very powerful sexually attractive traits as well. That he's able to manage these two things of sort of savage animalistic lust power and caring partnership makes him essentially the perfect man. So, how does that all tie in to Sia and Aurora? There's these two songs that I think we could compare that fit into this sort of Khal Drogo pop. This desire, this, I would say, somewhat new desire that strong, intelligent women have. Because that's the problem, is that women are getting more and more power in society, as they should. They're getting more and more responsibility. They're getting more and more educated. And the men that they are interacting with are fairly consistently disappointing. At least if I am to believe what I am told by every single one of my female friends and most popular culture made by strong, intelligent women. Men are taught to be the alpha, right? And if you look at Jason Momoa, you think, okay, that's what an alpha is. It's a bunch of muscles and overpowering. So you have this sort of peacocking seducer model. But that's very disappointing because it's actually based on domination and not on respect and equality. Or you have the super sensitive guy, the guy who totally understands you and is completely empathetic all the time. But then that's lacking the sort of strength that one's looking for. That sort of sexy, powerful masculinity. So what we have, I believe, is a bunch of strong, smart, intelligent women who are looking for a man that virtually doesn't exist. They're looking for Khal Drogo. They're looking for you, Jason. So in these songs I'm going to be comparing, I think we see this desire put in song form. The first one is called Fair Game by Sia, and I'm comparing that with the song Conqueror by Aurora. They're each off of these albums, okay? Now, musically, I'll just go through it briefly. Fair Game is excellent. It's got very basic instrumentation. It's like a glockenspiel or a, I don't know, xylophone or something. It's got a nice bass, lots of strings. She modulates, she changes keys in the chorus. At the end, some drums jump in. It's a very well-produced song. I'd say it's a better produced song than Conqueror, although Conqueror is quite agreeable as well. Conqueror's got kind of like a dance hall reggae beat, you know, doom, doom, ga, doom, doom, ga. It's got more layered vocals. She sings the background to herself. It's quicker to the chorus. I would say they're both very good examples of these musicians. So that's my suggestion. They both get my stamp, okay? Fair Game by Sia and Conqueror by Aurora. And in both of them, we see this desire. And I think for both of these women, you know, one of them's in their early 20s, others in their early 40s, but still, we see this desire for a man who is strong, who's capable of being in control, but ultimately is seeking equality. If we take the example of Fair Game, the song starts off with saying, you know, I was scared, you were a man and not a boy. And she keeps on like asking this person to like shake her and make her squirm and control her and take the reins. But then she goes further and she explains how that this guy is thrust into her life. And in her life, it's got all these bad histories, that she's scarred, that she has teeth marks, all these things. And what she's really trying to do is not just find an alpha male to dominate her, although if you had a superficial reading, that's what you could read. Actually, what she's looking for is equality. And so the song is called Fair Game. And she talks about how she's always had the upper hand in all of her relationships. And what she's looking for is equality, fairness and equality. Even though in her last relationships she had disappointment, she was always stronger and smarter. And this is what she's yearning for. In a similar, although I'd say more superficial way, Aurora has the song Conqueror, and in the chorus, she's saying she's looking for a conqueror, but he's not coming my way. I'm looking for the only one, but he's not coming my way. It's a similar idea of looking for somebody who is simultaneously dominant and the romantic ideal of an equal partner. As she says in the song, that she's not looking for seduction, only destruction. But it's not really a destruction. It's actually a yearning for something better. So I'm going to preposterously title this video, What Women Want. I don't know, I might put in parentheses, do, or, what do women want, or what some women want. But I think this is something to watch in popular culture. This Khal Drogo pop. This desire for, honestly, what many women want, but I don't think is fairly represented in popular culture. I don't think that this kind of man is even shown very often. So instead of actually a real man like this shown in movies, we need somebody who's just pretty and doesn't talk much to project that dream onto. Okay, hopefully there'll be some new music by next time I record the show. If not, I don't know, I'll do some more Eric Taxon or Chainsmokers? Who knows? Until then, there's the camera.